Welcome to the MagiReco news. I'm your anchor, the Yellem. The news today are stiff and so am I. Our top story for today. Have you guys heard that there's going to be more anime units? Wow, amazing. Well, there's also going to be some bunch of other cool stuff, so let's just go down the list. And we're going to start with the uncap. Oh my god, look at that, it's Sasara. So Sasara is getting an uncap, which is cool. She's one of the many low rarity units that basically never get used. And after this uncap, she'll also never be used. But at least she can be more stylish and look more awesome while she's sitting on the bench. So what does she actually get when she gets uncapped, apart from better stats? Well, she gets Endure on her Connect, and she gets a damage cut on her Magia and stuff, which is okay. Yeah, it's alright. Moving on though to more important stuff. The main story, chapter 5 on Arc 2, is getting voiced and is also getting challenge mode unlocked. So yeah, more challenge modes. Yay, woo, we like challenge modes. Then we also have another story chapter is going to be added. This is going to be about Kanagi and Mitama's betrayal of our heroes, and then we also have probably the most important news of today. It's another anime unit. It's like we've seen Holy Mummy getting the anime unit, and now we have Yachiyo having an anime unit. And now I'm pretty certain that Aniplex basically told the developers, like, hey guys, make some anime units so we can like promote the anime from within the game. Because of course the anime is promoting the game by existing, but the game itself is not really promoting the anime, right? Because within the anime, within the game, there wasn't really much telling people like, hey, go watch the anime. So now they're like, hey, can't we advertise like the anime from within the game? And they're like, I got you, Aniplex, we're gonna make some anime units. And this is the kind of the third one now, because Madoka and Iroha, the anniversary unit, was also redrawn and basically the same art style as the anime, and they were using the same attacks that they used in the anime. So to some degree, they were already the first anime unit, but they weren't called anime version, I think. So depending on your semantics, you can count them when you cannot, you might not count them. Point is though, we got the new Yachiyo, and just like the Holy Mummy anime version, she's really fucking good. However, she's not good for Kimochi, probably not for ranked mirrors either. But for basically everything else, she's really good, okay? So for whales, for hyper whales, hyper whales are probably going to roll for her anyway because they're hyper whales, they're rolling for everything, but they're probably not going to use her, right? Because she's not really a Kimochi unit, and she's not going to work out that well in ranked. That said, there already is a Yachiyo that is the top #1 unit in ranked. Like Tanabata Yachiyo is actually probably the #1 most unit in current ranked meta. Anyway, point is, while she might not be used by hyper whales for the top content, she's still really fucking good. Especially, and I know this applies to most people, because if I go down the demographic of who actually watches my video, most of you are free-to-play people, right? And if you're a free-to-play person, this is one of the best free-to-play characters that's ever going to be released, probably. Let's just go down why that is the case. She's an attacker with really high attack. She's a blast gorilla with 3 blasts all pointing in the same direction. That's really important, because this means that if you play this character solo, you can still cover every single tile. And this, you can only cover every single tile if all 3 blast discs hit the same direction, which they do, so you can cover the entire arena. So we're already looking pretty strong. The connect, I guess the connect doesn't really matter if you're playing a solo, but it gives blast damage up and ignore defense. That's an interesting connect. Ignore defense. That's pretty interesting. I think I said this before, but defense is like the only thing that like lowers your attack. Aside for like if you're trying to maximize damage and you don't have high attack, then you might not be able to overcome enemy defense, and this kind of helps with that. So if you're a free-to-play person who has characters with low attack, this will actually help a lot. But that's beside the point. That doesn't really apply to many people. The Magia, which, you know, there's an attacker with 3 blasters, you're probably not gonna see Magia much on this character. And yes, she does have blast salutation, so she does get a little bit of MP per blast. But still, you're probably not gonna see her use Magia that often. But if you do, it's an AoE Magia that gives attack up to self, ignore defense, also to self for 3 turns, attack up for 3 turns, and variable for 3 turns. So self. Wait, variable? Do you guys remember variable? It's that buff that was introduced with Mokyu. over a year ago. It has been actually almost, yeah, well, not almost, it's been well over 400 days since variable was first introduced into the game with Mokyu, and since then no other unit has had this buff. And now the first unit since Mokyu, since the introduction of the skill to have it, it's Anime Yachiyo. She has it on her Magia, it gives it to herself for 3 turns. Amazing. And if you, in case you don't remember what variable does, is as long as you have this buff, you deal super effective type damage against every element, including Void. Okay? So this means that even though she's water type, with this buff, she still deals super effective damage against everyone, every single element in the game. And that's really cool, right? You don't, like, her element doesn't matter anymore at that point, she's always super effective, which is in itself an absolutely huge damage buff, an absolutely absurd damage buff that works everywhere. And this is like one of the things that is really fucking good for free-to-play players. If you're a free-to-play player or just someone who has low resources, okay? If you have low resources, you need units that are good against everything, which usually are light and dark types, because light and dark types don't have a dedicated weakness. So they always deal at least neutral damage. So if you tell someone with low resources what units to get, tell them either a dark or a light unit, okay? Because if you tell them go for a water unit, then if they fight against a forest unit, they're going to be really, really sad. Okay? But with variable, that doesn't matter. You're always perfect. You're always going to be golden. Amazing. But on Magia, like I said, you're probably not going to use Magia that often on a Blast Gorilla, so what does that matter? Her active gives blast damage up to self and damage cut to self. That's really good. It's both super duper amazing for defensive and for offensive stuff. So if you're playing her solo, that's amazing. But we'll get to that later in a second. This is not the full review, but I still need to talk about her for a bit, because this is pretty important for a lot of people out there. When the battle starts, she gets 3 turns off. And hold your fucking horses. Ignore evade, ignore provoke, and 3 turns of variable. He also gets that as well. When the battle starts, she gets 3 turns to herself of ignore evade, ignore provoke, and variable. Passively. Passively when the battle starts, without even needing a memoria or anything. She just has that. Isn't that fucking strong? Isn't that fucking strong? Just as blast citation, but who the fuck gives a shit? So yeah, this is probably the best, this is now the best solo mirrors unit in the entire game. It used to be Mokyu, because Mokyu buffed itself with variable, and then with charge blast, you could clear the entire stage immediately, right? And no one could do anything about it, right? You would just immediately clear everything with your variable blast, right? It also gave blast up to self, so let me lay down why Mokyu was so good. So number 1, high attack. Number 2, self blast up, okay? With at least 2 blasters, okay? That's some pretty good reasons. But the third and most important reason why Mokyu was so strong is because of the variable. You take Mokyu against any character, and with that charge blast, you would just kill everything with those self buffs and the high attack. However, Anime Yachiyo also has that. She also has really high attack with the blast self buff from the active, and she also has variable passively. So she also has the exact same stuff that Mokyu has that makes Mokyu so strong. And some people are saying, but what about diagonal discs? You don't even get to use those that often, because people nowadays or play a lot of different like setups, lineups that aren't on the diagonal line. People nowadays play on not tercio, but like the triangle formation with like 1 in the bottom right and then 1 in the center that you can't even hit diagonally anyway. So what does it even matter? Okay, diagonal blast doesn't actually matter for mirrors, which is probably one of the reasons why we haven't seen diagonal blast since then, because ultimately diagonal blast doesn't actually fucking matter. So she has what does she have over Mokyu? Over Mokyu she has ignore evade passively, ignore provoke passively, which already are the only 2 weaknesses of solo Mokyu. She just passively doesn't have to worry about that, and she gets to do a polar blast combo, which Mokyu can't do because Mokyu only has 2 blasters. So she's got everything that Mokyu has, plus polar blast combo, plus ignore evade and ignore provoke. How fucking strong is that? Easily the best solo mirrors unit in the game. I'm going to roll for her at least 2 slot, because if you're doing solo mirrors, you're not gonna get hit, and if you're not gonna get hit, then you only need 2 slots for the 2 passive memoria, right? So why is this also... So more reasons why this is so good. Because she has passive evade, you don't need special seed. Solo Mokyu needs special seed or space tug or some anti-evade memoria. You don't need the anti-evade memoria for her. What else is in here? Because she gives herself damage cut if for some reason with all of this you still don't one-shot. And like Mokyu does less damage than this, and Mokyu still one-shots tanks to that cheese, okay? So if you somehow in some parallel dimension don't actually one-shot everything with this incredible fucking moveset, you still have damage cut for a turn. So you're not gonna die. You're also not gonna die on the enemy turn, even if you don't clear on turn 1. She's actually fucking broken. This is actually like the #1 best solo mirrors character in the entire game. So okay, I talked like for 6 minutes about this character now, but it's like the #1 takeaway from this entire news cycle is this is the best solo mirrors character. Outside of that, I mean, she's fine, I guess, in like 100 evils maybe. I guess 100 evils and ES switching might be fine. Kimochi is probably not that great. Although actually there might be some strategies where you could directly use her because she gives herself variable on Magi and she does have fast salutation, so maybe some people might make it work, but yeah. Mostly I'm just gonna roll for her to just say every day I'm gonna log into MagiReco, I'm gonna click that mirrors button, I'm gonna select any team. It doesn't fucking matter which team, right? Because Mokyu has some teams that Mokyu can't beat, mostly if they're on this triangle formation and you can't hit all of them at once. But Yachiyo doesn't care about that because Yachiyo has 3 blasters in the same direction. Yachiyo has 100% coverage of the entire field. So where every single day you log into your account, you go into mirrors, you select any team, any fucking team whatsoever. It doesn't matter which one. You just randomly press any team, activate your active 3 blasts, done. No team in the entire game can win against that. What do you mean provoke? We have anti-provoke. What do you mean evade? We have anti-evade. I've talked way too much about this, to be honest. But I'm just so excited that we're getting a unit that is so stupid, but at the same time it's just funny. I like it. Moving on though, the Memoria, blast damage up and damage cut. Kind of terrible. This is actually not a good Memoria. This is actually not a good Memoria at all. The active is like charm enemy maybe or something like that, and defense down. It's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, now we've talked so much about that. What else is there? Not a whole lot. There's Mitama training for 10 days, so it's Yachiyo training. Cool if you want to do Yachiyo training. Yachiyo training, whatever, just Mitama training, whatever. And then we also have 1600 day release stuff. Release, can you call it release anniversary? It's not really anniversary, but anniversary is like every year. But yeah, it's like 600 days since release celebration. As you would expect, half AP, double experience, and all kinds of stuff for everything. Yeah, there's bonus daily missions and stuff. Every single day, if you purchase 80 gems, you get bonus gems or something like that. So if you're not buying gems, it doesn't matter. But if you do buy gems, then every single day you can get a few bonus gems if you purchase the 80 gems pack or whatever. I don't fucking know. More importantly though, there's bags. I'm gonna start with this one. 250 free gems. This is free gems. 250 free gems. Anyone can do this for an over limiter core 4-star. That is, I think, the first time in the entire game that an over limiter core 4-star is available not for paid gems, but for free gems. Might be the first time that this has actually happened. Those allow you to add 1 limit break to a Memoria. So if you have a super rare Memoria, for example, that is at 45 out of 45, right? This is, I think, like 3 out of 4 stars. And you're like, man, 45 out of 45 stars, if only I had 1 more copy. If only I had 1 more copy to get it to 50 out of 50. 1 more copy to get it to maximum break. Well, over limiter core does that for you. Gives you like that 1 more limit break that you need to 50 out of 50. So if you have some super fucking rare Memoria lying around at 45 out of 45, or even 40 out of 50, because you get to buy 2 of these bags, you could say, okay, maybe those super fucking... And there are Memoria out there that are so strong that getting them to the maximum break is actually worth using 2 10 rolls for it. Because if you buy 2 of these packs, it's 500 gems. That's 2 10 rolls. There are a decent amount, probably like 60% of like the strongest Memoria in the game are worth getting to MLB if you're like 1 or 2 limit break stars off of getting the maximum break. So yeah, this looks pretty good. The paid bag, however, is 500 paid gems, also for 1 over limit core and 1 innocent gem, which I think is not worth it at all. I think this is not worth it. This bag is I don't think it's good. I think this is a bad bag. However, if you still have a bunch of free gems lying around, This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good for free gems. So yeah, those are the news. Those are the news. What a bunch of news. I know that at least like 80% of this video was just me gushing over anime Yachiyo. But that's just the way it is. That was it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.